Now, as I said, that introduction is kind of the boring part of this particular module because I think a lot of us have at least tooled around in most of these tools at some point or another. But it's the configuration of user accounts, of computer accounts, of all the different other tasks that we need to do from the command line where we can really multiply our efforts in terms of getting the tasks done. And thanks to Microsoft's investment in Windows PowerShell, we have a lot of really cool PowerShell commandlets these days that we can use for automating the creation of Active Directory accounts. In fact, in these exams, you can almost replace the word automate with the word PowerShell, or barring that, you can replace it with the word command line. Because when Microsoft uses the term automate, what they really mean is using one or more of a series of commands or commandlets to accomplish the task. Here, as you can see, I've got a variety of commands that exist for dealing with computer accounts. The first of which is get AD computer, which will provide you all the information, the characteristics of a computer account in Active Directory. The second set is new AD computer and remove AD computer, which allow you to create a computer account and remove a computer account from Active Directory. I include these here along with the ones here at the bottom, add computer and remove computer, just to show you that in certain cases, there are actually some commandlets in PowerShell that look the same, smell the same, and perform many of the same duties, but are in fact slightly different. The bottom of these, add computer and remove computer, are what we term native to PowerShell, as opposed to the middle tier there being those that are part of a specific PowerShell module. The Active Directory module is one that you'll need to reference if you end up using it here within Windows PowerShell. And although the Active Directory module is one that's easy to reference, I just want to point these two out because you may actually be asked questions about one or the other of these two sets of commandlets when you're taking the exam. In either case, both of these sets of commands perform much of the same thing, but perhaps with slight differences. And it is recognizing and appreciating those differences that will come as you become more familiar with Windows PowerShell. Now, these are for the computer accounts, but there are a similar set of commandlets we can use for dealing with user accounts as well. There's actually a shorter set here because we don't have the native add computer and remove computer equivalents. These are get AD user, which gets information about a user, and then new AD user, remove AD user that I can use for creating or removing an Active Directory user. Now, at this point, the only thing I really want to kind of show you is that for these different commandlets, being aware of how to use them is something you just got to know. So get AD user, if I type it in here, get AD user will provide me a list of information about any particular user that exists in Active Directory. So get AD user G shields will provide me that long list of information about that user G shields. And just as with anything, I can format things into a list and provide additional information. I can also here choose to view all of the extended properties for that user, and then view a longer list of everything that happens to be associated with that user account. So being aware of what this is will provide you the abilities to either grab the information or with the set AD user command, change that information, should you have need to do so from the command line. With the new AD user account as well, if I go here to new AD user and then show you the help for new AD user, we can take a look at the long list of parameters that are associated, not net AD user, I mean a new AD user. We can take a look at the long list of parameters that exist here for creating those new Active Directory users. So without going into the gory detail of each of the possible parameters here, just take a look at all the things that you could configure when it comes time to create that new user from the command line. So configuring the home directory, the employee ID, the Kerberos encryption type, the home phone. The vast majority of all the different fields we saw in Active Directory users and computers are represented here as parameters associated with the new AD user command. And that's why this syntax box here includes so much copy, because, well, we have to represent all the possible things that we could configure for a specific user. The good news is that pretty much all of these parameters here are optional when you're using the new AD user command. I can create a new user, so new AD user Don Jones, for example, with just identifying what the username should be for that account that I'm creating. If I do that, as you can see, we will create the D Jones account up here. And if I refresh over things over here with Active Directory users and computers, well, there is the D Jones account. So you can add additional parameters if you want to configure additional pieces in here for your name and your display name and all the other bits that make up that user properties. But those are the commands I would be aware of for automating the creation of Active Directory accounts.